All right, morning, guys. Seems like forever since our game, last Wednesday. Obviously that was a big game for us. Just opening game, like everybody, getting the first game under our belts, and national exposure for our program, and playing against a tough Jacksonville State team. I think they're going to have a great year. Give them credit. They played us really hard, and I was. As always, you go back in the film and you see the things that you want to improve on, and of course the talk of first game to second game improvement, we're going to definitely be looking at that. But I thought we played really hard, played together, and, had a few days off. Was able to come and watch the film on Thursday, and Friday was a lift day for us. We got to look at a little bit of Georgia. Obviously, we don't really know anything other than what we saw in the summer. And then got to see them Saturday night, and obviously that was two really good teams playing, and very impressed with them. We know what's in front of us, going to a capacity crowd in one of the toughest places to play in the country. They got talent at every position, well coached. I've known Kirby a long time. They do a lot of great things, and they're very detail-oriented, obviously, by their success they've had since he's been there. So we know we got our work cut out for us, and we're working on getting ourselves better. So, questions?
Obviously, you had.
No, you're good.
Obviously, you had Kirby came out yesterday and said they've had their largest kind of COVID spike in the last few weeks. 3 to 4 players maybe missed, as well as some coaches. What are your reaction to that, and how do y'all kind of plan about that throughout this week?
Yeah, I mean, really, I don't, obviously not for their health's sake, but just from a game standpoint, it really means not a lot to us because we don't know who that is. It could be non-starters. It could be, I think we probably won't know that till game time. It's kind of like injury situations, you just, unless you know a guy's out, it really doesn't affect what we do, But, I mean, if you know a guy's out, then you might think they're going to look at somebody else or whatever. But, obviously don't want anything bad for them, but doesn't really affect us till we know somebody's out. And obviously their depth is pretty strong. So, we'll just see what it means.
Obviously, you guys pitched a shutout last week. We saw what Georgia's defense did. This is looking on paper like it'll be a defensive struggle. What did you see from that Bulldogs defense as you watched the game on Saturday? Yeah,
I think one, I know how they're coached, and I think when I think of people who I think are like us, or maybe we're like them, these are those guys that there is no detail that's not, that goes unnoticed, and I think that's, you look at past success, past history, and I always talk about defensive-minded coaches don't mean they don't want to score. It just, I think they're very detail-oriented, they're very meticulous, their teams are physical and tough, so obviously I'm paying him a compliment that I just know how they're going to play. And, when you live and I talk to our coaches all the time about living in a defensive world where you're always thinking the opponent can score. It's just a different mindset, and I think you look at every single detail, and I heard him talking about special teams. He mentioned our punt block. Those are the things that you appreciate as a coach. Really good special teams play, which they have, which I could talk a lot about their punter and all those guys, just how good they are. But defensively, they give you tons and tons of looks. They shift before the snap. They can play man coverage. They can play zone. They can pressure you with their front without having to blitz. And you notice that a lot. They get a pick six, which is obviously a big play. So super impressed with their defense. I think maybe the last couple of years, I think they've led the country in rushing defense. Clemson really didn't make much effort to run the ball, which I was a little surprised by. Maybe they didn't think they could or whatever. But I mean, they're outstanding on defense.
Morning, Bill.
Morning, Joe.
After watching I have two questions, but first, after watching the tape, what did you think about Johnston?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the guy that we've always wanted to see, and I think you've seen him, specifically the last, for us, the way we practice, the last 2 or 3 practices, he's looked like that. And we can go back to, an injury last year and some other things, I think, that really hampered him. But I think you got a couple things going. One, Tyler is really probably one of the ultimate competitors you'll ever meet. I think Dylan Hopkins has really performed well. And what does that have to do with Tyler? I think it's really pushed Tyler to be better. I mean, I just be honest. I mean, I think he's that kind of competitor. It's made him better. I think both of them have gotten better. You know, I mean, we'd love to have that first throw, you know, just a little bit underthrown, and you know, what a night he would have had. But he had a great night, and I think goes back to, you know, the preparation that he's had since the spring. And, you know, and of course it's game to game, so that one's behind us, but it was a good performance.
Well, and I guess playing off that question, you know, what is it like to have a quarterback with such experience going into an environment like this?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, I think it's just there's no way to really simulate that kind of crowd noise, et cetera, unless you've just been there. I mean, and I think Texas A&M will be something that we'll go back and talk about. I mean, you know, and I go back, and we were talking about this yesterday, their fans, I don't know if they ever sat down in that game. We're expecting the same type of atmosphere just because they didn't get to get out last year. Where their team's at, their ranking, they got to be excited. I know the weather's going to be good. So, you know, and you talk about teams and you think of they played in a split stadium. Won't talk about officiating, but they played in a split stadium. So, you know, I think it just, you know, they got to feel like they've got an advantage to get to come home. And we talk to our team all the time about being better on the road. This is an experience for us that's going to make us better because there won't be a tougher atmosphere, you know, against a tougher opponent. So that we'll see the rest of the year. So it's going to make us all better. But I think that experience, to your question, helps the quarterback position for sure.
And then one last thing. You said something really interesting. You tell your coaches to live in a defensive world. When did you coin that phrase, or could you elaborate on that and what exactly that means? Yeah,
that's a great question. And I don't know if that's. I guess it's the mindset that we live defensively. So it's not really living defensive. It's living, as I say, the defense lives, which is, you know, the world we're in now is if you get out of your gap, they score. And I know that sounds crazy, but, you know, when I used to be a defense coordinator and offense is really worse. So I'd gone from being a head coach to a defense coordinator, and I would literally Friday night and Saturday I'm thinking, okay, they might score 70 tomorrow because that's the capabilities of offenses today. You know, and you start talking about their offense and their capabilities. And, I mean, Clemson's got a great defense. Clemson gave them a bunch of different looks. They played deep. They made them work it. They were a pressure team before. You know, they've had some injuries on offense, but they are so capable offensively. And I think you hear me talking about their offense, and that's kind of the world you want to live in of, you know, just every play is that important. You know, every play is a game in of itself, and I think that's one of the things we've talked about offensively this year. There's not enough points. You know, there's just not, because that's how capable offenses are. And I want our offensive coaches to live like that with that urgency. I guess that's kind of my defensive, you know, the urgency, the expectations, you know, well, we just scored a touchdown. Great job. Let's go get another one. You know, that's that urgency, just like you live on defense where you get a 3 and out. Good job. We got to go back. You know, so that's the mentality that I think we need to live with. And it's tough. I mean, it's a tough mentality of, you know, there is no smiling over there. There's just, man, we smile when the game's over.
Speaking to your offense, you know, the past few years, y'all been known as a power running team, running some play action as well. But, you know, just this opener, you had a wide open tight end on the first play. You had a double reverse pass. You scored off a jet sweep. You know, is this just the tip of the iceberg as far as what this offense can, you know, accomplish, you know, as far as creativity this season? And
that's who we want to be. I mean, I think you have to try and keep defenses off balance. You know, and I think especially the great ones you play. I mean, you gotta do things that they're not expecting. That's hard to do with all the film and all the history and all the studying that these guys do on you. It's, you know, and so a lot of those things. Obviously, our players played well, no doubt, but that was a lot of design. And just for example, the first play, you know, Jack State had the great safety, the great strong safety, but he was very aggressive. He was really a great run fitter, and so we wanted to take advantage of that run mentality that we felt like he was going to be aggressive early, and it was there. We just didn't hit it. But that's the kind of creativity, to your point, that we need.
Any other questions for Coach?
Hey, Coach, can you talk a little bit about some of the new receivers that played this last week and how you felt they did? Not returning a lot of experience at that position.
Sure. Yeah, good question. We knew that was going to be a big point for us to really grow that receiver room. Obviously, Shropshire's a guy that really had to learn how to be a real college player. Definitely talented. What's been fun to watch about him, and Coach Smith and I have these conversations a lot, is growing and understanding how to practice. And, what does that look like? And Coach Vince and I, we've all talked about that. And for this guy now to understand, it's make this play, catch the ball, whatever that is, go the next play. Go the next play. Don't get down. And he's grown so much there. And then let's go to Ryan Davis, who's probably really never had an off season of true lifting, and to see him, what he looks like. Rajay Johnson's a guy that we had high expectations for. Learned how to practice, had to get his body right, and we could go through that whole room of guys that have really – that whole receiver core has gotten better. Now they got to keep getting better, and they got a lot of work to do, but they have come on.
Last question, Evan.
You've said many times that y'all talk about winning championships, visualizing these sort of things with the opportunity in front of you with Georgia, a very high-ranked team, and as well as, just the experience, the depth that this team has. Is this something that y'all have visualized and talked about, going into a large SEC stadium and being able to come out with a win?
Yeah, I mean, it literally is the next game for us, and so I know that sounds like coach speak, but it is, and we go in with the expectation to try and win them all. We know some are going to be really tough, and this is going to be one of those, and I don't care who you are, this is a tough team to play at their place, etc. But, that's what we work for, is to win and win these games and win them all. I mean, that's our goal, 100%.
Thanks, Coach.
All right.
We'll now move senior leader Dijon Turner up to the podium. Dijon led the team with 6 tackles against Jacksonville State. He's one of the 11 super seniors on the team, and with that, we'll open it up to questions for Dijon.
All right, Dijon, just how was this first game playing on the back end of the secondary? Because obviously last year you played a lot of the star position. Just kind of what was it like getting to that back end?
It's not too much of a difference, but it's different, kinda. You feel me? I can just tell the star what to do, tell the corner what to do. It's just more command on the field.
Scott, and then Joe.
So do you know any players on the Georgia team for this week?
I do not. Personally, no.
And also, what do you think has been your biggest growth from before playing Jacksonville State to now, as far as the team and your defense?
Just the little mistakes you just got to fix. Getting out of that gap a few times is just some mistakes you got to clean up before we head to Georgia.
How do you prepare for an atmosphere like you guys are going to face when you go to Athens?
It's a tough question. Just practice, man. Practice makes perfect. So we try to practice hard just to go out there and play hard on Saturdays. So we take each day this week as if it was a game. You know what I mean? One day at a time, and to see what happens.
You just heard Coach end his presser by saying, you go in expecting to win all the games.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter who it is, doesn't matter where you are. Talk about the challenge of going into Georgia and the way you guys are facing that and taking that head on right now.
We're taking it good. You feel me? So we just got to go in and play our ball. You know what I'm saying? Defense got to go in. We got to swarm the ball, run to the ball, tackle. We just got to play our brand of football here.
All right, so you watched this Georgia team on Saturday night. They were only able to score 30 points offensively. How do y'all, keep the confidence, coming off this Jacksonville game, watching this game with Georgia and Clemson and, knowing that they have more capability than what y'all saw? How do y'all kind of, work that fine line of maybe getting too overconfident, watching that result?
Just by, just believing in ourselves. We know what we capable of as a defense and as a whole team. You feel me? So we got to come in with a mindset. We don't care how big you is. You feel me? We're going to play ball, our brand of football.
What is the UAB brand of football?
Win is one. Win together, offense, defense, special teams, we all together.
Any other questions for Dijon? All right. Thank you, Dijon.
Appreciate it.
And now we'll move quarterback Tyler Johnston up to the podium. Tyler threw for 319 yards and 2 touchdowns on Wednesday night. Since he's been back for injury, he's thrown for 788 yards, 6 touchdowns, and no interceptions. So with that, we'll ask Tyler some questions.
Obviously, in the past, we saw you, struggle with some decision making, throwing some interceptions. But since last year, going back to last year, beginning of last year, you've only thrown 1 interception, and like Ted said, in the past few games, you haven't thrown any. Just what's kind of going into that as you've improved that kind of, tangible asset to your game.
Just knowing, the check downs, the flats. I mean, they're mostly there all the time. But it's got to be more smart with the ball. Just from 2019. I didn't have much time in the pocket. I mean, there was just new starters for O-line, and it made it a little bit harder for me. But when they definitely have grown, and they're veterans now, the O-line, and they worked their butts off this summer. And just from that first game, it's just all about trust. The O-line's really, they gave it all they got this summer. And, there's a bunch of seniors on the O-line, and I'm excited about playing Georgia this week.
Does it just make you more comfortable within the pocket itself?
Yes, sir.
Looking back on Jacksonville State, how would you assess some of the new receivers, how they did, how they're coming along? I know Trey's back again, but some of those new guys like Ryan, RD, and some of the other guys, how they progress, and do you feel?
I would say, they had a really good game. Just from working from this summer, fall camp, the spring, just the connections we've had, just gotten better and better. Y'all probably haven't seen, Flip started the last 2 games last year. And he's always grinded, from last year to now. And you'll definitely see him sometime soon. And then you got Rajay. Rajay's really grown, and he's matured and just worked hard just to make something happen, let him play, And I'm proud of all of them. With Ryan, he's grown to be a leader in that wide receiver group, him and Trey. And he just gives it everything he got. And he just goes for it. When he catches it, he goes. And that's what I love about him. But it's just all about that hard work. You definitely see it from each wide receiver of what they give. And they definitely put time with Colin Lisa this summer. And Colin Lisa's, was that guy back in the day. And they all learned, a lot of details from Colin. And, that's what you're looking for a wide receiver.
You look at this last game, I mentioned it to Bill. You opened the game with a wide open pass to a tight end. Second half, you opened with double reverse pass, scored on jet sweep. Just what do you think about the more creativity and the new wrinkles in this offense?
I like it. You add those things and you just take what they give. Coach Vincent, he comes up with these great game plans, and you just kind of have to go with the game plan, trust them. And from this past Wednesday, it just looked like we just were just playing our plays, and it was working out. And so you got to trust the coaches. They all put it all together, and we just got to play the game.
Tyler, what was the lowest low for you when you were injured?
definitely just sitting out watching. I've definitely been there before. You know, when you get hurt, you sit around and you just want to be on the field, and it just itches to get back on the field. And that's what I took from, you know, getting hurt at the beginning of the season. And I just told myself I got to work even harder just to get back, let me heal, get back, and let's go win a championship.
How healthy were you for the Conference USA championship game?
I mean, I would say I was healthy. I mean, I let my shoulder get healed. I wasn't really healthy going into the first game, really. I was probably around 60, 70%, you know, from the jet ski accident. But it's not about, you know, it's all about the team, really, though. When I came in the first game, I want to do it with the team. I play for the team. I don't just play for myself. It's a family thing. And so I just really worked hard just to be back with my team.
Did you have a chance to watch the FSU Notre Dame game?
I did.
What did you think about Mackenzie Milton's comeback?
I mean, that's just awesome. I mean, just to come back from that type of injury, not many people can do it. And I'm very proud of him. I mean, just to be able to come back out and just have a game like he did. I mean, just to come in and then making plays. But that's awesome. I mean, not many people can do it.
We know what kind of environment you're about to walk into on Saturday. You know, they just beat Clemson. The fans are finally getting to get back to the stadium. It's going to be a rowdy place. And as a quarterback, how are you preparing to handle that challenge?
I would say I've been there before. I mean, and there's definitely been up and down game with those. But, I mean, I'm just blessed to be having a chance and an opportunity to do it again. Excited with the team I have behind me, and I mean, with the defense I have here, I mean, they're great players. And the offense, I'm super proud of them. How hard they worked. And I'm just excited to play with them too.